Well, my name is Councillor Asha Craig. I'm the Deputy Mayor of Bristol, and I'm also the Cabinet Lead with responsibility for communities, equalities and public health. Bristol has been on a journey the last 3.5 years where this is my first time as a politician, but I have been a community activist since the age of 18, particularly around the issues of race inequality and discrimination and tackling all sorts of discrimination. So I would say over the last 35 years, I've been looking at what was happening within our city, what was happening within the local authority, fighting the struggle on the other side, and now I'm inside. I thought there is no better opportunity than now to let's get stuff started. So I'm here to talk to you about Bristol's One City approach to tackling race inequality. So in 2015, the Runnymede Trust launched a report that pointed out that Bristol was the 7th worst city in the country for race inequality on every single measure you could think about, believe it or not. And so that not only shocked, well, it didn't shock the communities who are at the end of that, but it did shock the city, okay? And a few individuals, actually headed up by our current mayor, Marvin Rees, but he wasn't the mayor at the time. He was director of something called the Bristol Partnership. A number of organisations came together in the city to say we've got to do something about this, and we've got to look at how we're going to address some of the issues that were raised in that report. So they worked on Bristol Manifesto for Race Equality in 2015, and one of those key actions was a call to action to all public sector bodies across the city to work collectively together to tackle race inequality. And that was led by the City Council, and the group first met in 2015. I would say when our administration came in 2016, I think it was kind of like waning. It needed an injection of chutzpah. And so 2016, 2017, after years of engagement and promotion across all the public sector agencies, we decided to kind of re-energise and also expand the membership of the group. So where are we now? We have got full public sector membership right across the board, and near enough full attendance at every one of our meetings. We meet quarterly, and we've got lots of different task groups in between. So we have wider strategic partners called we've got the Commission on Race Equality, which is a mayoral commission that was established. We have a women's commission, and we're hoping to set up a disability commission in 2020. SARI, Stand Against Racist Incidents, the voluntary and community sector, Black South West Network, and we also have WECA, the West of England Combined Authority. Add to that the probation service, the Crown Prosecution Service. When we work collaboratively, we mean business on collaboration. So working together, we're delivering key outputs through a number of innovative citywide projects, and we're winning national awards. And actually the first award that we won was the GED award, and we're really grateful for that because it just kind of sparked a rolling programme of awards for us. But it isn't about awards, it's about what we do to make an impact. So the group sets an annual work plan, and we work collectively in what's known as a One City approach, and I'll talk about that later on. Wide promotion and engagement of groups with wider sectors, community groups, and we have been engaging with a number of national government teams, the Cabinet Office, specifically the Race Disparity Unit. So what we have done is aligned all of our strategic partners and projects across the city. So we've got the Commission on Race Equality, established by the Mayor, but it actually interfaces with the whole of the city, there to provide kind of support and challenge to a whole range of public sector and private sector partners. Sprung out of that was the HR Leaders Group. The one thing about Bristol is we no longer want to work in our silos. It doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. But we're all tackling the same issue around race inequality. So our view was, and the Mayor's view has always been, the challenges in the city are far greater than what the local authority can do. So guess what? Let's work together collectively and actually kind of make some real change. So out of this group has come the HR Leaders Group. I think we've got about 40, 50 HR directors coming together across the private, public, voluntary and community sector. We're all sharing best practice and kind of learning, training from each other and trying to align the policies and work that we're doing. Our award-winning Stepping Up programme, a positive action programme, again, it was the data that was telling each and every one of the public sector bodies around the room that representation amongst the leadership was situated in the lower ranks of our organisations when it comes to Black, Asian and minority ethnic individuals. So we designed an inclusive, not exclusive, programme called Stepping Up, and I'm very proud, because it's my programme, that we have now put 114 people through the programme just in 2 years. We're only on cohort 2 at the moment. Cohort 1, 70% of that cohort, of the 57 individuals, BME, have stepped up into new roles or new careers within their organisations. We've also had an unbelievable success with some spring-offs, some kind of spring-offs like Horima, which is a mini Stepping Up programme for Somali women in the community. So we have 35 Somali women on that programme. It's kind of like a shortened version of the Stepping Up programme, and it's really about helping to raise their level of confidence so that they can kind of step up out of their houses. Most of them are housewives raising children. They just want an opportunity to work, and many of them are highly qualified. We've got the Lammy Review subgroup. I think we're the only city outside of London that is actually looking at criminal justice right across the board. And so that group has been in existence now for about 18 months. We've got the Bristol Equalities Network. I was proud last year, October 2018, to launch the Bristol Equality Charter, which sets out for the whole city how we expect everybody to behave and how we should work together to address equalities right across the board. And so from the charter, the network was formed, and again, we have over 100 organisations and individuals who come together sharing best practice, and we're developing a new website to enable that exchange to happen. We've obviously got our staff-led groups within the local authority, and what's been great about the network is that it has also sparked new staff-led groups, particularly in some of our private sector organisations who've never even thought about trying to address the issue of equality across any group. We have been working closely with the Home Office Race Disparity Unit because I believe Bristol has been the only one that has, I think just before they launched the race disparity data product, we were already doing our own kind of mini version of our own race audit, and we're actually going to be launching our second iteration of that tomorrow at our Race in the City conference in Bristol. And then we've got the One City office, which I'm going to talk to you about shortly. We've set ourselves during 2018 a whole range of different priorities, and I'm not going to go through all of them because I know we've only got 10 minutes. But we've got a coordinated communications plan, so everyone knows what everyone else is doing in the city. We're not saying that you can't talk on race without talking to each other, but we use the Strategic Race Equality Leaders Group as a means by which we will kind of coordinate our efforts on all things to do with race. Obviously, we have ongoing links with the HR Leaders Group, and we liaise closely with the Race Commission. So some of the key highlights for the group so far has been the delivery of the UK's first citywide race data product. As I said, we are launching the second iteration, and you can download the product on our website. And really that product sets the baseline for all of our organisations about where we're at in relation to BME statistics, looking at salary levels, sickness levels, you name it, we've got it in there. And so we can touch base with that on a regular basis to see how each one of our organisations and representatives that are doing in relation to tackling race inequality at a whole range of different levels. We've had so many visits from, from the number 10 and the Cabinet Office, Race Disparity Unit. I think once they caught wind of what we were doing in Bristol, they've literally visited us at least 6 times over the summer, and they are actually one of our co-sponsors for the conference that we're having tomorrow. They're going to be using Bristol, the Cabinet Office will be using Bristol as a national good practice case study. We had really good feedback from the LGA peer review who came into Bristol last year and spent a week kind of poring over everything, and they liked what they saw. And obviously we've had awards for the work that we're doing, not only around this work, but also our Stepping Up programme. Like, as I said, we coordinate a whole series of press releases through an integrated comms network. We've got a web page that acts as a hub for all of our information, and established the HR Leaders Group. So our first annual report was launched at the end of 2017, and it sets out quite clearly the actions that we have taken as a group. And again, you can download this from the website, and it kind of sets out the journey that we've been on and also gives the data in relation to each one of the public sector partners. Again, we won the GED award, and obviously we were very proud of that. And there's met some of our key stakeholders in that picture there, the university, both universities, the police, Avon Fire and Rescue, etc., etc. So, key highlights. Well, tomorrow, Race in the City, tackling race inequality. I wanted to do this like 2 years ago, and maybe it was a little bit too early. But, you know, we discovered very quickly as an administration when we came in, major concerns by black staff and disabled staff, and even some women in the organisation who had been discriminated against, and no one was doing anything really. And actually they were the people who were being hounded out. Those who were raising the concerns ended up being hounded out of the organisation. And not on my watch. We were determined to do something about it. Fortunately or unfortunately, and I will say, having black leadership makes a difference. A lot of the black staff came to us because I felt they could confide, they could tell us what was going on, they felt that we could do something about that. And obviously as politicians, there is a red line that you are not allowed to cross, but I was constantly crossing that line because at the end of the day, I was demanding, well, what is going on, what needs to be happening, and the issues around concerns about HR and how they were handling complaints, etc. So we have brought somebody in who is kind of handling all of those complaints, not only from BME staff, but disabled staff as well. We are in the process of recruiting our new head of Equalities and Inclusion. We're starting that process now. We've just about to shortlist for those. Third time lucky, because we want the right person for Bristol. You know, it's not easy dealing with race in the city. And then what I've always wanted to do is tell the city and the rest of the country, and anyone else who will listen, how we've been doing it in Bristol. So tomorrow, we've got nearly 300 people from across the UK and locally coming to the conference, and we're going to showcase the good, the bad, the ugly. So, oh, sorry. So, there's the data product. I'm not going to go into it because I know I've got less than, I've got maybe 1 minute. So very quickly, the key data product, we've increased the number of agencies that are involved in a stakeholder group, so from 11 to 17 people that we have sitting around the table. Collectively, the sample of work that we do covers over 40,000 employees in the city, and we've improved the data returns. I will say the first time that we were asking people for their data, listen, I know it's going to be shameful for some. Some don't like to share how bad things are, but you know something, you have to get over. You have to get over it. You know, get a grip, share the data. We're all on the journey together, and so we managed to kind of collect the data and agree the data set that needed to be collected. And for the first time, as I said, we implemented our action plan, launched the product, and here's just some examples, and I hope to share this with you, of what the data product shows. So it sets out quite clearly the ethnic breakdown of our population in Bristol. Across the public sector data, what it was telling us about number of white employees compared to BME employees across the public sector. These were some of the organisations we surveyed. Two of them, FTSE 100, our own company, the Bristol Waste Company. And again, we were asking them to give us some information about the sample. And then we've set out right across the board each one of the partners and where we're at in terms of ethnicity of staff, wages.
Can we have a look at the wages?
Yeah, of course you can, yeah. So, as you can see, predominantly, BME staff earn between 15 and 25,000 K, more larger proportion compared to BME staff. And what you will find, there's a slight anomaly, particularly when you look at the NHS and the hospitals, because obviously that we have quite a number of BME doctors and registrars, and it makes it look, it skews it, yeah. So if you don't have an explanation, people think, oh, they're doing really well, when they're not necessarily. Again, we looked at sickness, grievance, and disciplinary procedures, and again, you can see 7% long-term persistent sickness levels. It's really quite high when you think about the makeup of the city, and 1.4%, again, highest number in the grievance processes. More breakdowns for the council. And you know, I always say to people, it's the data that tells you, it's the data that will drive your need to put in place the most appropriate initiatives to kind of address those issues. So, like I said, we set the action plan, we consulted with the Cabinet Office on the final version, particularly the next version, so the next iteration is a bit more detailed. We share it widely across the whole city with our partners and groups. And we will continuously improve the product. So next year when we have the number 3, it'll be bigger and better. And just very quickly, our One City approach is a plan for Bristol 2050, working collectively as a whole city. Over nearly 300 organisations across the city have come together over an 18-month period to put together our vision for where we want to see the city. And this has been driven by our Mayor, Marvin Rees. It sets out quite clearly what the plan is, what the plan is not, and it's not a plan to usurp all other plans. But what we're saying is that we need to take a collective effort. We can't tackle climate emergency on our own. The City Council, it's not in our gift to deal with that. We have mapped all of our key actions, and we have got actions year by year. We haven't said, oh, in 5 years and in 10 years. We've actually broken it down year by year by year. And so this gives an overview of where we want to be by 2050. We've mapped them against the Sustainable Development Goals, and then each year we have a city gathering that brings together all of our partners, and we actually agree from the whole list there which are the 3 mega priorities for the city. So this year it's been tackling and preventing gang violence and knife crime, developing affordable childcare, and ending period poverty. And those are the 3 that the city collectively, kind of over and above all the other actions, have agreed that we're going to work collectively on, and we're actually making great strides. And there you have it. Thank you very much.